from your heart. And we want that to happen because what you're going to learn about is a project that needs to come to fruition. This project must happen. I'm involved, and I'm going to do everything in my power. If that means my last breath, then so be it, to make sure that this project comes to life. But I want to start by introducing the architect of this project, and she will introduce the other women to you so you can understand the power of these women and their testimonies and their stories. So the project is Tiny Town CA. It's a resort community for unhoused women and children to start, with eventual global plans that will take care of men, women, children, everyone. But I want to introduce to you this woman she's near and dear to my heart. I mean, she's a sister. She calls me a big bruh. And trust me, y'all, I am her big bruh. Don't even try it. But her name is Chanelle Amber Scott. She has a heart of platinum, not gold. She has a platinum heart. And she's going to start off by telling you her story. And then she'll introduce these other courageous women to you. But Chanelle, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for that, Troy. You always do such a wonderful introduction. I'm over here like very humbled, by that. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Chanelle Amber Scott. I'm the executive director and program designer for Tiny Town CA. We are a resort of sorts for our unhoused women and children of Los Angeles County to start, then eventually across this great nation and globally, wherever there is a homelessness problem. We are using some very innovative tools that I know personally works to stop the cycle of homelessness. I'm formerly an unhoused woman myself, and with my children. And I know the hopelessness and helplessness that you feel in that situation, but I also know what it takes to conquer it. And so I've used the program that I put myself through and I decided to share it and, cultivate it, add to it. And that's the whole purpose of connecting with you wonderful people today, is to make sure that our community has what it needs to make sure that this initiative happens on both levels. The pilot program on Rossmore in Los Angeles, and also the building of Tiny Town on our land in Llano, California, of which we've acquired 19.28 acres, and that's where Tiny Town's resort will be built. And I'm going to go ahead and start introducing some of these heroines on the Zoom. I never had a lot of friends, but the friends that I am being connected to right now are just absolutely precious. And I feel very blessed to know you, get to know you all. First, Miss Robin Williams, who is the future mayor of Houston, Texas, and the future governor of the state of Texas. Anyone that reads about this young lady and you don't vote for her, we don't know what's wrong with you, because she's doing a lot. She's done a lot already, but she's wanting to do even more and using that platform to get things done that are important, like housing people, bringing Tiny Town to Texas, and making sure that we're evening the playing field. Because when you take away, when you even out supply and demand, then we have an equal playing field for people, for our unhoused citizens, and put them in a situation where it's affordable. Miss Danielle Joseph works with Miss Robin Williams and just a very beautiful person. She doesn't like to say much. She doesn't like to be seen too much, but she's just absolutely just a very sweet person who works with Robin and also formerly unhoused. We have Sabrina Bullock, who is Tiny Town CA's house mother. She is the fixer of all things when it comes to conflict. She has this pretty much the same law enforcement background that you do, Miss Williams. And well, it's a little bit different. I'll let her speak on that. But still law enforcement, she does not play. She gonna keep everybody safe and sound and everyone peaceful, and also has very much a nurturing spirit. Miss Moon is another beautiful, beautiful young lady that I met by way of Clubhouse, an app that I am very new to, and expressed her situation to me. And so now we have been speaking to each other on a weekly basis, giving an update to each other to have her come and stay with us. And we're hopefully going to be raising some money for that initiative as well today. And of course, Mr. Troy Richardson. And we all know Troy, Big Brother Troy, the super connector, who has shown up in our lives and has completely said, you know, I'm all in, let's get Tiny Town global, and has put the action in everything where his mouth is. And we appreciate you.
Right.
Mr. Roland Mitchell here is also co-founder of Tiny Town CA, and also landowner with us, and also our treasurer for Tiny Town as well. So that's the introductions.
Awesome. Chanelle, do you want to start with your story? I know you spoke a little bit, but do you want to go into the depth and let the people know your specific journey that you
Absolutely.
went through?
Yes.
Okay.
This is all new to me. I was ashamed of my story. I didn't want to make my family ashamed of me. A lot of them were like, what, you were homeless? Yes, I was homeless with my kids. My ex-husband was very abusive. I was running from that situation and went to Las Vegas. We stayed in a very unsafe situation, in a horrible situation out there in a shelter. And I have to tell you, there's nothing worse than your kid looking up at you. You looking at your own eyes, looking at you and asking you when they can go home, and you can't tell them. You know, you don't know yourself. You're having to deal with your own emotions and theirs at the same time. You don't want to cry in front of your kids. So at Tiny Town CA, we've created the Cry Room, which is a miniature spa. Even in the pilot program at Rossmore, they'll be able to go into the room. Sabrina will be coordinating that with the residents. They can go into a beautiful place and go cry alone. They can tap into their life coach that will be assigned to them, or whoever is there to help with mental health. And in one room, cry. Walk down a beautiful hallway where there will be affirmations and mirrors, so they can look at themselves while they are reading these affirmations, with string lights down the hall into a beautiful room where it'll have soundscapes that are conducive for meditation. They can go and rest and relax in there after crying hard, and then go into the kitchen and have something nutritious to eat and recover before they have to go back to their children. Again, I had to go through the program myself. I know that it works. By the end of this program, there's no end to it. They are always going to be tapped into Tiny Town, CA, and its resources. It's a forever relationship. But going back to my story, I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of soul searching. I was in really unsafe situations, getting followed, harassed, given raw chicken to eat. I think I talked to you guys about that before. That was just horrible after starving most of the day because I didn't have enough money and my food stamps ran out. And I had to choose between, okay, do I pay bus fare or to get to the place, or do I feed us and walk back? And it was about maybe 4 miles with my kids. It's a lot that I can go into with that, but I'm just gonna leave that there. I need to leave space for everyone else. And it gets to be pretty emotional for me. That was about 20 years ago. I had 3 little kids, 2 daughters and my son. My babies we can't have any privacy to shower. We can't have any privacy to sleep. We were yelled at in the morning to wake up and get your chores done. And whatever your chore was that day was your chore. If I had to scrub toilets after 200 women and children, I had to do that. If I had to wash dishes after 200, when I had to do that. And you don't have a choice. Then when you're done with that and breakfast, they kick you out at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so you got a bunch of women and children wandering the streets exposed to God knows what until the evening. And I asked the coordinator, I was like, why do you guys just kick us out like that? We have to do we have to do the chores. It's not like you guys have to clean it for us to go, but that's just how they have it set, because they don't want you to get comfortable. Okay. No one will be punished for being poor at Tiny Town, CA. We are pumping out queens. When I tell you that their whole life will be changed, if they want it to change, it will be changed. If they participate, they're leaving the situation with their own small business, connected into networks of people that can raise them up and show them the way and mentor them in whatever field that they want to be in. I, again, can keep on going, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time and give you all an opportunity to express yourselves and let us know, how Tiny Town CA, how you see it affecting the world, how you see us affecting our citizens right now, and what we can do together to make sure that this happens. Moon, you want to speak?
Sure.
I'm just feeling your heart.
My son is 12, and when he was 2 years old, he was fortunate enough to be in a ballet school. He's been doing ballet since he was 2, and he attends the Debbie Allen Middle School currently. But his scholarship is at risk because we've not been able to maintain consistent housing for him since he started school last September. And it's worn on him mentally, car camping and things. And, I had to do this with him when he was much younger because I was part of the mortgage crash. And because I was a seasoned mom and a well-traveled person, I was innovative. I mean, we slept at SFO Airport 7 days at one point, and I took him to school every morning. Nothing to be proud of, but just had to be resourceful. I liken my story to the pursuit of happiness. I was just like one of my, favorite mentors, that gentleman, Chris Gardner. I had an iPad and no phone for a year with my child in San Francisco, and weathered every storm, and intended for him to go from studying ballet at 2 years old to moving back to LA for him to study with Miss Allen. And we made it happen. He's a first inaugural member of her new middle school, in addition to her dance company. So I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to serve, because honestly, I feel this divine order. By the way, Mr. Richardson, my grandfather was a Richardson. And Miss Scott, my best friend was a Scott. My other best friend was a Williams.
Wow.
I think she's gotten a little bit frozen.
mean-
Okay, so we're gonna oh, go ahead, sweetie. You
No
just got
worries.
frozen for a minute.
Oh, did I freeze?
Mhm.
I'm confirmed that community is the only way for us to move past this technology matrix of slavery. And I was homeless longer than I probably would have been, or been in and out of homelessness, had I had the support of the system while being in graduate school. I was told I wasn't allowed to go to graduate school and receive benefits at one point. And so I did my master's online while, raising my child between ages 16 months until he was 5. And then I've been recently accepted at Pepperdine for my second master's. And I look forward to doing life coaching for executives one day. But right now, I'm looking forward to serving at Tiny Town, teaching kids yoga. I took my kid with me to Costa Rica when I did my yoga teacher training. We, made the best of being houseless. I never would say homeless, because I knew it was a temporary state. However, we have been, in and out of domestic violence situations, and that's made it also more challenging. So I really am grateful for this opportunity. And as I said earlier, I look forward to serving, because that's been my biggest intention since I had to lean on these type programs and, be in shelters as well in the past. And it's been very important to me to be able to give back and serve. Namaste.
God bless you, Miss Moon. I mean, you definitely have something strong to lean on. And these big, broad shoulders of Tiny Town, CA are going to provide some big shoulders for a lot of women to lean on, and some big arms to comfort them. But wow. Chanelle, you want to introduce the next courageous woman, man? This is wow.
Yes. Sis, you're not gonna be unhoused that long. We are seriously coming together for you.
I
You
know.
know, you know.
I know.
I just want to say that you got love over here. Have love over here.
Absolutely.
I'm
I just
sorry.
gotta say
What is your son's
I'm
name?
like all knotted up in my throat right now. So forgive me. But
What is your son's name?
My son's name is Morocco.
Rocco.
Morocco.
Morocco. Okay, that's really nice. And yeah, as you can tell, like she's just very creative. Like I got that from her initially. Like she's a very creative, very zen person, and it's a privilege to know you. Just wanted to say that. So I wanted to introduce Miss Sabrina Bullock next. She is our house mother, and not homeless, but also in a housing situation, and I think that with her working with Tiny Town, it's going to be a big blessing for Tiny Town and also a blessing for her. And I wanted to give you the floor today, or right now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sabrina Bullock. I'm originally from New York. I'm a retired federal police officer. And I had the actual pleasure of something that you said, Chanelle, about being in the shelter. I worked at Bellevue in New York. So if anybody knows about Bellevue Shelter, that's the central hub for all of the shelters throughout New York. That's where you go and do intake. And it's not a safe place at all. definitely one of the unsafest place. And you get people up early in the morning, make them leave out, and then tell them they can't come back until the afternoon. And especially for a woman with children, could you just think about the winter time in New York of not having anywhere to go? Where are you going to go with your children? You got to leave out by 9 o'clock. Sometimes you have to leave out by 7 a.m. Where are you going? What are you going to do with your children during that time? It's freezing cold outside. So when Chanelle came to me with this opportunity, it just made sense because I believe that you have two hands. One hand, someone is pulling you up, and the other one, you should be pulling someone else up. 70% of women all worldwide have been incarcerated due to domestic violence situations, 70%. And a lot of those women were desperate. A lot of those women were running to keep their children safe and to keep themselves safe. And a lot of them find themselves in situations where they get caught with kidnapping by running to a shelter to try to help because they're running from domestic violence. And a lot of those women have been targeted and been charged with kidnapping of their own children to get them out of an unsafe situation. So I have a daughter that's had that problem. Called the police 17 times, and when she tried to leave to go to emergency shelter, was charged with kidnapping my grandson. So this means everything to me, to be able to help a woman, to help these children, because you cannot take care of your family if you can't work. What are you worrying about? How are you going to worry about feeding your kids, doing all of this, and then you're in a shelter, and that's one of the most unsafe places for you to really be. That's why so many people choose to live on the street, because it's safer to live on the street than it is into a lot of these shelters. So what Chanelle has provided and what she is offering, a safe place, because see, I can't worry about what work I'm going to, where I'm going to, how I'm gonna get to work, how I'm gonna go to school, if I'm worrying about where we're gonna lay our head at night. And for her to provide this opportunity, this is just one less worry. Because now you could start the healing process when you have a roof over your head. We have some beautiful people that's in the mental health community that's willing to help, to volunteer their time and their services to make the family whole again. And for me, coming out here to LA, first of all, it's ridiculously priced to live out here. It's just astronomical to live here. Even for a room, you might be paying almost $2,000 a month just to live in a room. To find affordable housing in a place that is safe, and that where you have a community of other women that are helping you, because it's a community. Chanelle has created an entire community of women of like-minded that we want to make sure that you thrive together. Because we became a village, and we are going to be a village. We are a village, and this is so important that we band together to love one another, to help each other raise our children, to help raise ourselves. Because it's all about, first of all, healing us mentally and physically from the trauma that we have suffered for being on the streets, for running from domestic violence. Because domestic violence does not only hurt the woman, but look at the child. Look at the men that you're raising, the boys that you're raising that's seeing their mom was physically and mentally abused. They need help too. The young women that are watching, that is mimicking their mothers, that see their mothers being abused. They need healing. We all need healing, because before you could go on to get this great, wonderful job or this beautiful, you want to create your own opportunity, you have to heal first. And this is the start of healing, is us coming together, giving you a place to have a roof over your head. That's starting the healing, providing mental health services, providing meditation, providing the healing room, the crying room. This is the beginning of the rest of your life, not We have to take back our power. And the only way for us to do that is to band together and do that as a family. So I see you, sis. I am with you 1000%. So I'm getting emotional. I don't want to cry because I'm older, I'm going through menopause, so I might start crying. I don't want I don't want to do that.
Crying is
Yeah,
good.
that's good for you.
Sometimes
And
you
I'm
just
having
gotta cry.
It's just so important to me, and it means so much to me to actually have people that that we are banding together, because we can't build generational wealth until we build generational health, and that means mental health. We have to bring us back to who we are, knowing who we are, and knowing that we are loved, and what we've been through does not dictate where we can go. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And I am definitely am happy to have met every one of you, and I can look forward to we a family now, so y'all could just forget it now. And I'm the sister, so y'all could just forget it. That's what y'all
That's
signed
right.
up for. You signed up for it. Now you got you another sister.
That's
Hey,
right.
listen, we established that the first day we met.
Yeah.
So we have much to do. And thank you so much, Sabrina, for sharing your heart with us today and showing up, because I know how busy you are, and just taking a little breather with us today. I appreciate it. And without further ado, Miss Robin Williams, she's a powerhouse. She is a very impressive young lady. She has been in military, has been in law enforcement, and now running for mayor of Houston. We are very proud of you, sis. And I've already started talking to my folks in Houston to let them know to vote for you and to check you out, vote for you and make sure they do what they can to help you go in office. And we'll talk about that at another time. But she's just a sweet person, but she don't play either. She is all about keeping the order but actually having a heart while doing so. And that's what you all have in common, Sabrina, is keeping the order. All right, Miss Robin, would you like to introduce yourself and let us know what you wanted to do to get in touch with Tiny Town? I'm sorry, to work with us.
Absolutely. First and foremost, before I introduce myself, I do have a very common name. So Robin Williams. So thanks, Mom. But I really want to extend a thank you to my warriors that's on this panel with me. Thank you. If you didn't know you were a warrior, I'm telling you, you are now. A warrior is someone who's been beaten, someone who's been in a fight, someone who's exhausted, someone who rises above all like the great phoenix, and they stand up and they're able to cement their name in history. So thank you, ladies, for being a warrior. And like I said earlier, my name is Robin Williams. Just a little backstory, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I watched my mom struggle with mental health issues. She, my family at the time had no clue what mental health looked like. My mom went to school to become a registered nurse. My mom told my grandmother time and time again, hey, I feel good. I'm hearing voices that's telling me to take my life or to take pills. And so my grandmother at the time didn't believe her. So my mom attempted suicide by pills, and EMS got there enough to say my mama get her to the hospital and get her stomach pumped. And then my mother would go on to have these episodes, later diagnosed with schizoaffective major depression. And my mom ended up coping with her mental illness with drugs. And my mom went from this beautiful being to suffering with mental health issues, to being addicted to drugs, to being homeless. And so my grandmother adopted all four of us. My mom had 4 children, adopted all 4 of us And I watched my mom, you know, walk the streets and be homeless. And I watched my mom, you know, ask for money. I watched as a small child, I endured watching my mom ask for things or in the neighborhood, and I loved my mother. I thought she was the most beautiful being I've ever seen on the face of this earth. I thought my mom was everything, and she is everything to me. So I still love my mom despite that. So I'm not a mother yet, but I know a lot of you ladies here are mothers, and I want to let you know that your children honor you even when you feel like they don't honor you, because I've always honored my mother. And that was the first person I've ever seen homeless where I had a personal experience with. And then working with, after leaving the Marine Corps, I served 8 years there. I went on to become a manager at the American Red Cross. This is where I saw homelessness on a larger scale, a bigger magnitude. I saw refugees from the DR of Congo come to Houston, Texas, and become homeless. Mothers of 4, mothers of 3, mothers of 2, where they're homeless. English is not their first language. And all they know is that my family member name is this. How do I find them? So it was my job to relocate them back to their family members and set up some form of resources. And then I will go on to become a police officer. I'm currently a police officer now in Missouri City, Texas, our neighboring city, Houston, Texas. And this is where I had to connect my heart to my uniform. I met a young lady, her name was Alexandria. Well, her name is Alexandria. And I remember arresting her, and I didn't arrest her because she committed a criminal offense or anything like that. In Texas, they call it an arrest. But I arrested her because she said, hey, I feel like hurting myself and hurting my mother. And it's called an emergency detention order. And I placed her in custody, and she said, hey, officer, I don't feel safe at my home. And so I reach back there and I slide back that hard plastic and make this big clock noise. And went on to say, I don't feel safe. My mom chooses everyone over me. I'm my mother's greatest mistake, and I'm her child. So we would go on to have a relationship and where I would set her up to work for hope.
Hey, could everyone mute your lines? I'm sorry, somebody's got some.
And everything as well. Thank you, Dr. Clark. I really appreciate that. I wanted to mention a couple of things real quickly.
If someone can mute their background, is women talking in the background. If someone can mute the background, or as a courtesy, just mute the background.
But guess what? You're not going to leave away.
Okay, awesome. So I will go on to assist Alexandria. It's unmuted. I will go on to assist Alexandria, and she stayed in her first homeless shelter, Star of Hope, and she ended up living with me because, like you said, it was hard coming from different shelters. It was very hard. She had to be out at a certain time, and she had just turned 18 years old. She had no clue what the real world was. She had individuals luring her in, men that took advantage of her. And so I said, you know what, come live with me. This is me as a police officer opening my door to a young lady I met in a line of duty. And she lived with me and was able to graduate high school, went on to college. She's now in Iowa. So it's imperative that we have tiny towns, because it's going to save a life. And had this organization been in Houston, Texas, it would have saved, I like to call her my niece, Alexandria, from being a victim of sexual assault. And it would have prevented a lot of heartache that this young lady has to bear. And, I had to help heal. And another story that attached my heart to my uniform, I met a young lady. I was irritated, and I hate to say that, but I have to tell the truth. I was very irritated in my uniform. I had let my emotions get the best of me. I did not feel like dealing with someone who was rambling on and on. And I got called out for a fraud call, and I was like, you know, get to the point. Give me the facts. And she said, you know what? The fact is I'm homeless and I thought I had a job. I applied for a job on Indeed and they sent me this check and said, deposit it into your account. You're going to buy some supplies. And you're going to send the rest to me. And it was a scam. And they wiped my bank account clean. And I am homeless. And I had to attach my heart to my uniform right then and there. And I said, where are you staying? She said, right by that white van. And this is inside of my police parking lot in the lobby. And she had this little bitty black Mazda. I said, what? She said, yeah, I'm staying there. This is the only place I feel safe. And so every day I vowed to come and speak with her, talk to her, whether it was monetary gifts, food, just really encouraging her. And she never lost her smile in the midst of being homeless and living in a car. And it gets hot in Texas. It gets up to 110 plus. And it's unbearable some days. And she would not even turn her car on and say, hey, I have to reserve my gas. And I remember the ice storm coming, and I was on my way home and something said, turn around and go back. And I had some Girl Scout cookies with me, and I gave her some Girl Scout cookies, and I went. And she said, and I said, what are you, where are you going to go? It's a storm coming. She said, I have no idea. So I reached out to Tammy. She's our crime victim liaison in my police department, and we were able to get her temporary housing in a hotel for 2 weeks, and she was able to avoid the ice storm altogether. Then her name is Janet, by the way, and then she would go on to say, hey, Robin, can I use it as a reference? And I said, okay, yeah, sure. And she went on to work for the city of Houston. And the reason I tell these stories is because these are my personal stories. I've seen homelessness right in front of my eyes. I've seen my mother. I've seen a young lady that I love like my own flesh. I've seen a woman who reminded me so much of my mother, where we need tiny towns, because everything in common was that they were women that were left vulnerable in a city of wolves. And Houston, Texas has the highest rate of human trafficking. The highest rate. So I see it often. Young girls fall prey because of homelessness. And so if we had a place like tiny towns in Houston, Texas, young girls wouldn't go missing every other day, or killed or slain or found in trunks, or we're finding old remains in parks, and family members having to identify skeletal remains. You know, this is the dark side of homelessness that we do not talk about. And so it's imperative that I tell my story from an authentic, transparent law enforcement chair, that I've experienced this, I've seen this. And I've seen young girls have prostitution warrants, and they say, hey, why am I going to jail? I'm a victim. And we've seen so many times where young girls have murdered, you know, their offenders, and they end up in jail behind bars for years, and they were only 17, 18, and the bottom line was that I was homeless, and this man lured me in, and he pimped me out, and he beat me every day, and I ended up bearing children. I had no place to go, and the only way to protect my children from him, I had to do what I had to do. So I won't take up much time, but I'm so excited to put this on my resume and to place this on my heart, and to really sing it to the mountaintop inside of Houston, Texas, that we need tiny towns. And when I am elected mayor of Houston, Texas, that I always say I will run a campaign on transparency, and I will run a campaign to help homeless veterans. So I have to add homeless women and children. I never thought about that, but we have a population of 3,000 plus individuals that are homeless in Houston, Texas. And so a lot of them are women, a lot of them are children, a lot of them are veterans. So my heart goes out, and we need you. And I'm so thankful, Chanelle, for your vision. And I promise you, I don't make a lot of promises because I don't like to break promises, but I promise you, if I am elected, this shall be in Houston, Texas. When anything say shall, that means it's mandatory, that we can't go against it. It shall be in Houston, Texas. And I yield my mic, and I'm so thankful to be here.
Thank you for sharing your heart. Like I said, whew, we have a deck of cards here, don't we? I mean, this is just a beautiful bouquet of flowers here on the Zoom call. I admire you all. I really do. You're some of the most courageous women and men that I have met. You know, thank you for your service, Robin. I didn't get a chance to tell you that last time, but thank you for your service. And I think that every military person or veteran should be told that, but especially those that continue to serve even after their service. And you are the epitome of that. Troy Richardson, you are would you say a platinum heart? A platinum heart for connecting all of us together. And just being big brother for Tiny Town CA and saying, hey, we are doing this because it absolutely has to happen. That's part of my executive summary, is to let people know that we are getting murdered out there. We're getting followed around. We're being intimidated. We're getting grouped up on. We are running for our lives, being pimped out, especially, and the sisters that they are not so exposed to education or being able to get a certificate to be an insurance agent or to be you know what I'm saying? And they feel like their bodies are their only currency. Whether it's that sister or the highly educated sister, or and I say sister because women are just connected. We're, men are too, but I like to refer to women as my sisters. It's just, I have a lump in my throat. I'm fighting back a lot of emotion right now, just because this has to happen right now. It has to happen right now. We need money to come in so we can get this sister right here out of her unhoused situation, along with so many other beautiful, and we're not easily identifiable. And I say we, because I'm formally unhoused, but it becomes part of you. It becomes part of who you are. And if you don't have the proper tools, that PTSD that you go through could send you in a horrible situation, in a horrible direction. If you actually have an opportunity to heal from it, and you have an opportunity to rest and regather yourself and be surrounded by people that are rooting for you, then you have a better chance of survival. In my executive summary, it's a whole breakdown of how many kids are on the street, how many women are on the street, how many men are on the street. Why is that important? Because everybody tends to be gravitated toward one demographic or another. The fact is, human beings are out on the street. I don't even see a lot of stray dogs anymore. Do you? Stray dogs, stray cats? No, human beings got together to make sure that cats and dogs have a proper place to sleep when there's still other human beings out there sleeping. And that's a doggone shame. And I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong, because what they're doing is right. But I just believe that our priorities as human beings need to change. The face of what unhoused is absolutely needs to have a lot of awareness at this point. We're not all pushed in baskets talking to ourselves. We're not all with layers and layers of clothes on. Some of us smell real good. Some of us look real good. Some of us are professional. We have jobs. We have businesses. We're trying our best. We just need Tiny Town to happen so they have a safe place to be while their roots are starting to finally grow. And then they can be planted in a beautiful pot of their choosing, not because they have to be there. And like I said, we are pumping out queens and we have some powerhouses behind us. We really do. I don't want to go into name calling or anything right now because it's about us on the line right now, our stories right now. And thank you so much for being transparent, Ms. Danielle. I want to give you an opportunity to speak as well if you choose to, because I know you're a lot like Rowan. Another beautiful queen. I just feel her. I only got to speak to her for about 30 seconds on the phone, but just the sweetest person. I wanted to give her opportunity to speak her heart as well. And then we'll conclude.
You're muted, Danielle.
That's what I was telling y'all. I was coming off mute. I apologize for that. One moment here. Okay, I am so sorry. Thank you, Ms. Chanelle, for the opportunity. I'm excited to be here. I thank you, Troy, for the opportunity to have met you, and not only met you, then felt passionate enough to incorporate and bring us into play to be a part of making history, not just here in Houston when Robin becomes the next mayor, but to help in the nation with a project such as the one that's going on here. So it is so great to be a part of all of this. I didn't have any idea what God has for me, but whatever he has for me, it's for me. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity to begin to walk in that manifested grace. With that, yes, Ms. Chanelle, I'm quiet, so I'm going to yield my mic already, but thank you. And I will continue to be a part of it, working hard so we can get there together. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much for speaking, Danielle. And I wanted to mention too that she had a in-house situation as well. Did you want to go over that really quick?
Sure, I'll be more than happy to. I too, as we mentioned, was also in a situation where I was unhoused. I have a connective tissue disorder. They could never figure out what it was. Doctors wanted to say I was just making it all up. It was just in my head. But eventually, not eventually, but my child ended up being sick, very close to literally near death, and us not understanding what was going on and why it was happening, only for us to later find out because one specialist figured it out immediately, and we found out that it was a connective tissue disorder, which then defined what my connective tissue disorder is because it was passed down to her. So I ended up being living between a couple of family members just for a couple of days. And then at the place where, okay, there is not a place to go, but I still have to take care of my child. And it was primarily due to her not being able to eat everything that others ate. And so she was treated kind of differently and made to feel bad about her condition. But we made it through. We ended up being unhoused for at least right at 2 to almost 3 months. And then we were able for me to get some housing. It just became a challenge at that point to make sure we had ends meeting, but God was faithful then, just as He is now. So He kept His provision around us because He'd always given me the vision that there was something greater in me and that there was a bigger purpose. And so He kept us and He kept providing for us in the midst of that. And so I guess that's why I'm so passionate about being there and helping others, because I know what he did for me, he's willing to do for others and will do. And sometimes it's just a motivated voice that they may need to hear to say, hey, don't give up. You can make this. You can do this. And to be able to keep your eye focused on the prize is how I refer to it all the time. It's like when Peter got ready to walk out on the water. He was fine as long as he kept his eye on the prize. It's when he looked down that he began to sink. So let's keep our eyes always looked towards the goal, towards the mark, and don't worry about what's on the left or right or the front or the back. Just know that you will be able to propel and move at a high velocity if you keep your eyes focused on Him. Otherwise, you will smother yourself and not be there to be able to help anybody else. So now, Miss Chanelle, I'm going to yield my mic one more time. But it's not that I don't want to talk. I just sometimes talk too much. So I'm learning to be quiet in the midst of everything right now in this season. And so season, excuse me, not seasoning, season. I said seasoning only because I say that right now God has me walking in my 100 ministry. And what that means is I've been a minister for a long time. I've had a prophetic calling for many, many years, but I didn't want to walk in there because I was like, why would I tell somebody that's my name? Why would I say? And I just wasn't comfortable with it. But in the middle of last summer, he said, no, you're going to have to accept your name. And he put me out on Clubhouse, and I'm like in Clubhouse, and I'm making my way through there. And there were other people that just kept saying, okay, well, no problem, prophetess. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute now. I haven't told anybody about my spiritual beliefs. I hear anything. I've just always been uplifting and encouraging, hopefully. And he said, yeah, but you didn't have to because it shows in your light. He said, so now you can decide if you're going to do what he told you to do 21 years ago and tell people your name was prophetess, or, are you willing to let that go? And I said, I'm not willing to let go of my call. You've been too gracious to me. You've been too good to me. Y'all are looking at a lady who's been hit by 218 wheelers and lived to tell about it. You're looking at a woman who was on an IC after a surgery of her child, which is now about to be 19. And I bled from every major organ. And I'm in Houston, as y'all know. And doctors came from the whole medical center area to be around my medical bed at various times because I became a case study. So it can be found in the medical literatures and journal where at the time that I DIC is what it's called, a DIC, that means bleed from every major organ. When I did it, only 1% of the country had ever survived it. The numbers are very much better now, but at the time that I did it, I don't know how I did it. And I went on. They told me I'd be in the ICU for at least 3 weeks. I was in there for 3 more days. And on the third day, just like he rose me up out of that bed and put me into a regular hospital room. When he put me into that regular hospital room, the doctor came in, led us in. He said, okay, now you're going to have to do this. And he was talking to me. And I said, yes, sir. And I said, but I'm going home Monday. And he said, okay, that's not happening, but I'm going to lower your pain medicine. But now I guess he thought maybe the pain medicines make me a little loopy. And I said, no, I'm going home Monday. On Monday evening, at the same doctor who had just come into a operating room and saved my life had to walk back into my room and say, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm just going to do it. Here's your release papers. He personally brought them in and put them on my tray. And he told me, I expect to see you by this Friday in my office and make sure you are safe. I was astonished, but I got up about as quick as he got to that door and started packing my bags because I was ready to go home and see my little newborn who had only become about 3.5 months at that. So it's something about that number 3. Just remember, we got God the Father, God the Holy Spirit, and God the Son. So we can just know that we are already covered. If we got somebody on our left side, somebody on our right side, and somebody behind our back, it's no reason why we should not propel forward. I yield. Thank you.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart, Danielle. I did not know that part. You are a walking miracle. I think all of us are. We are literal walking miracles. We have survived a lot. My story is long, guys. But I just want to say again that I appreciate you all for being here today. I'm gonna let you go ahead and narrate from now on. Rich, I keep wanting to call you Richardson. Like, why would I call you Richardson?
Hey, I've been called a lot of things, trust me. But no, guys, gals, queens, empresses, and I just want to close with this thought right here, right? And I want people to think about this and think deeply about what I'm about to say. If children are our future and women are our greatest gift from God, then why are we putting them in these situations to be harmed, to be forgotten, to be exploited, to be killed, to be raped. If children are our future and women are God's greatest gift to us, why are we doing this? So once you've had a chance to think about that, think about your mothers and your sisters and your cousins and your nieces and all the women that you know and all those beautiful children, innocent children in those situations. How can you refuse not to do something about it by donating to Tiny Town CA? I don't see how you can refuse, how you can look the other way. I don't see how it can happen. So I'm asking you to join us. We cannot do it without you. So we need you to share this video and go to www.tinytownca Charlie Alpha .org. tinytownca.org and click that button so that you can give and make this resort community home for our future and our greatest gift. God bless you all. God bless you, Chanelle, Danielle, Moon, Sabrina, and Robin. Thank you so much for showing your courage and your vulnerability. You are truly God's gift to the world. Don't you ever, ever forget it. Love you all. Have an amazing night. God bless you. And please share this video. And we will see you someday for your visit to Tiny Town CA. God bless.
Yes. And we are set to break ground late this year, which is going to be a grand old party. So be looking out on the website, subscribe to the website so you can see things happening. And also don't forget to donate. Please donate. It's a tax deduction for you. It's a win-win situation, and we are transparent over here. We're working with the city. Everything that you need to see about Tiny Town, can be verified. We are the real deal. We're doing everything that we can to stop the cycle of homelessness. And I'm so appreciative to everyone who has given so far, and all those that want to get involved somehow to help us with this initiative. Thank you so much, Troy, so much for doing this. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
God
you.
bless
so
everyone. God bless
God
you.
bless
Thank you.
everyone.
Everyone.
Is that the conclusion? Are we going off of record or Troy?
I'm trying. I don't know what's going on here. I could edit this later.